Money has a way of revealing people's true nature, especially when it belongs to someone else. I learned this the hard way when my husband Michael called me at work, his voice dripping with that fake sweetness I'd grown to despise. "Elena, darling, we need to discuss tonight's dinner arrangements." I pressed my phone closer to my ear, already sensing the trap beneath his words. "What arrangements?" "I've invited the entire family to LeBlanc. Mother and father are flying in specially for this. You'll need to cover the expenses. About 25,000 should do it." The number hit me like a slap. $25,000? Are you insane? "Now, darling, don't be difficult. I've already made the reservations. You wouldn't want to embarrass me in front of everyone, would you?" I gripped my desk, knuckles white. "My credit card is maxed out, Michael. You know this because you're the one who maxed it." His laugh crackled through the phone, sharp and dismissive. "Oh, that old story again? I told you I'd pay you back. Besides, you have other cards." "Which I've canceled." The words came out before I could stop them. The silence that followed was deafening. When he spoke again, his voice had lost all pretense of warmth. "You did what?" "You heard me. I canceled them all except one, and that's for emergencies only." "You stupid bitch." The mask dropped completely now. "Do you have any idea what you've done? I needed those cards." I felt a strange calm settle over me. For what, Michael? More gifts for Sophie? Or was it Hannah this time? Another silence, longer this time. I could almost hear the gears turning in his head, calculating his next move. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said finally, his voice steady but strained. "But you will show up tonight, and you will find a way to pay for this dinner. Otherwise, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of woman you really are." I laughed, surprising myself with how hollow it sounded. "And what kind of woman is that?" "A paranoid, controlling wife who can't handle her husband's success. I wonder what mother will think when she hears about your little jealous fantasies." Margaret, his mother, had always taken his side. Even when the evidence of his lies stared her in the face, she'd find ways to excuse him. Robert, his father, wasn't much better. Too wrapped up in his business empire to notice his son's growing web of deceit. "Fine," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I'll be there. 8 o'clock, right? 7:30? Don't be late." He hung up without waiting for my response. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling something shift inside me. For 3 years, I'd watched him drain my accounts, make excuses, and gaslight me into believing I was the problem. 3 years of suspicious charges, mysterious business meetings, and perfume scents that weren't mine. Opening my drawer, I pulled out the manila envelope I'd been saving for the right moment. Inside were credit card statements, hotel receipts, and photographs. So many photographs. Sophie leaving his office late at night. Hannah at expensive restaurants, wearing jewelry bought with my money. Each piece of evidence carefully collected, dated, and organized. My phone buzzed with a text from Daniel, my oldest friend. "You okay? You look like you're about to murder someone." I glanced up to see him watching me through the glass partition of his office, concern etched on his face. I typed back, "Not murder, something much worse." Tonight, at LeBlanc, surrounded by his family and their expectations, I would finally show Michael exactly what kind of woman I really was. And it wouldn't be the meek, forgiving wife he'd taken advantage of for so long. I touched the envelope gently, like a weapon I was finally ready to use. 7:30 couldn't come soon enough. LeBlanc's crystal chandeliers cast judgmental shadows across the white tablecloth as I watched Michael work the room. He moved between his parents with practiced charm, touching his mother's shoulder, laughing at his father's jokes. The perfect son. I gripped my wine glass tighter, knowing what was coming. "Elena, darling, you're so quiet tonight." Margaret's voice carried that hint of criticism she'd perfected over the years. "Is everything all right?" "Just tired from work," I said, forcing a smile. "The firm's been busy. Perhaps if you focused more on home life." She let the suggestion hang in the air like poison. Michael swooped in, all teeth and tailored suit. Mother, you know how dedicated Elena is to her career. His hand found my shoulder, fingers digging in slightly, warning me. Speaking of careers, Robert cut in. Michael tells me you've been having some financial difficulties? The restaurant seemed to still. I met Michael's gaze across the table, saw the slight shake of his head. Don't you dare. Actually, I said, reaching for my purse. I wanted to discuss that. Michael's wine glass crashed to the floor. Red liquid spread across the pristine carpet like blood. Clumsy me, he laughed, but his eyes were hard. Elena, help me clean this up. He practically dragged me toward the restroom corridor, grip bruising my arm. What do you think you're doing? Telling the truth for once? I yanked free. Someone has to. You embarrass me tonight, and I swear. You'll what? Max out another of my cards? Sleep with another colleague? His face went still. That dangerous stillness I'd learned to recognize. You're hysterical. This is exactly why I can't trust you with our finances. Our finances? I laughed. You mean my savings that you've been bleeding dry? Everything I've done has been for us, for our future. He stepped closer, voice dropping. But you're too selfish to see that. Michael, Margaret's voice, floated from around the corner. Is everything okay? He immediately softened his expression, the mask sliding back into place. Fine, Mother. Elena's just feeling unwell. I watched him transform, saw how easily he switched between personas. It made me sick. Back at the table, Robert was deep in conversation about the company's latest acquisition. The merger's going through next month. Michael's been instrumental in making it happen. Yes, I said, unfolding my napkin. He's been working very late hours recently, especially with Sophie in accounting. Michael's fork clattered against his plate. Margaret frowned. Sophie? I don't believe I've met her. Oh, she's quite memorable, I continued, ignoring Michael's glare. Blonde, 28, favors Cartier jewelry, particularly the bracelet Michael bought her last month. Elena, Michael's voice was warning thunder. Or was that for Hannah? I get confused sometimes, tracking all these charges. Robert's bushy eyebrows drew together. What exactly are you implying? Nothing, Father, Michael cut in. Elena's been under a lot of stress lately, imagining things. Am I? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through photos. Should we discuss the hotel receipts, the mysterious weekend conferences that only you seem to attend? Margaret's hand flew to her throat. Michael, she's lying, he snapped, but sweat beaded his forehead. She's always been jealous of my success. Success? I felt eerily calm now. Is that what we're calling fraud these days? The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Robert's face darkened. What fraud? Michael stood abruptly, his chair scraping back. This dinner is over. Elena's clearly not well. Sit down. Robert's voice cut through the restaurant's murmur. Both of you. I watched Michael's face as he slowly sank back into his chair. For the first time, I saw fear crack through his perfect facade. Now, Robert continued, someone is going to tell me exactly what's going on with my company's finances. I reached for my purse, where the manila envelope waited. Michael's hand shot out to stop me, but it was too late. The evidence of his betrayal was already spreading across the pristine tablecloth, like the wine stain on the carpet behind us. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and I was done being patient. The silence in Robert's home office felt like a noose tightening. I watched him examine each credit card statement, each hotel receipt, his face growing darker with every page. Michael sat beside me, leg bouncing, his usual swagger replaced by something closer to fear. $200,000. Robert's voice was deadly quiet, transferred from company accounts to personal expenses over the past year. I can explain, Michael started, but Robert held up his hand. To jewelry stores, hotels, restaurants. He picked up a particular receipt. A weekend at the Four Seasons, under business development. Margaret stood by the window, her back to us all. She hadn't spoken since we'd left the restaurant. The company's doing well, Michael said. I've earned some perks. Perks? Robert slammed his hand on the desk. You're stealing from your own family. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to a specific email. There's more. Michael lunged for my phone, but I was faster. Elena, don't. An email from Sophie to Hannah. I read, my voice steady despite my racing heart, discussing how to divide their bonuses from Michael. Margaret turned sharply. What bonuses? Hush money, I said, to keep quiet about their affairs. You're lying. Michael's voice cracked. She's making this up, Mother. You know how jealous. Stop. Margaret's voice was ice. I saw the way Sophie looked at you at the Christmas party. I didn't want to believe. A knock at the door made us all jump. Ethan, Michael's business partner, stepped in, his face grim. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation. The SEC is asking questions about recent transfers. The color drained from Michael's face. What questions? They've flagged several large transactions as suspicious. Something about patterns consistent with embezzlement. Robert stood slowly, his hands shaking. You didn't just steal from us. You put the entire company at risk. I was going to pay it back. Michael's composure finally shattered. Everything was under control until he jabbed a finger at me, started meddling. Under control. I pulled out one final document. Like the gambling debts you've been hiding? Margaret gasped. Robert snatched the paper from my hands, his eyes widening as he read. $500,000. His voice was barely a whisper. To underground betting rings. Michael slumped in his chair, defeated. I had a system. I just needed more time. Time, Ethan interrupted. We don't have time. The SEC wants answers by Monday. Get out. Robert's voice was like gravel. Get out of my house and don't come back until you've spoken to our lawyers. Father, please, now. Michael stood on shaky legs, looking to his mother for support. But Margaret had turned back to the window, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. As he stumbled toward the door, he paused beside me. You've destroyed everything, he hissed. I hope you're happy. I met his gaze steadily. No, Michael, you did this yourself. I just showed everyone who you really are. After he left, Robert collapsed into his chair, suddenly looking every one of his 62 years. Elena, I owe you an apology. We all do. Don't. I stood, gathering my things. I didn't do this for apologies. I did it because someone had to stop him. What happens now? Margaret asked, finally turning to face us. Ethan cleared his throat. The company will need to conduct an internal audit, and Michael, well, he'll likely face criminal charges. I headed for the door, pausing with my hand on the knob. There's a recording, I said quietly, of Michael threatening me when I discovered the first affair, and documentation of every unauthorized charge, every manipulation. When you're ready to move forward with legal action, call me. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. You okay? I looked back at the house, where I'd just destroyed my husband's carefully constructed world of lies. The strange thing was, I didn't feel victorious, just tired, and ready for whatever came next. No, I typed back, but I will be. Because this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of Michael's long fall from grace, and I intended to watch every moment of it. The police station's fluorescent lights made everything look sickly and unreal. I sat across from Detective Morris, watching her flip through the evidence I'd gathered against Michael. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, even though I'd rehearsed this moment countless times. Mrs. Anderson, she said, setting down a particularly damning bank statement. This goes beyond simple fraud. I know, my voice sounded hollow, even to me. We're looking at potential money laundering, tax evasion, and, she paused, studying a new document. Connections to illegal gambling operations. Your husband's been busy. The word husband made my stomach turn. Ex-husband, soon. My phone buzzed. Daniel again. Sophie's looking for you, says it's urgent. I ignored it. Sophie could wait. I'd given her enough already. The recordings, the paper trail, her precious immunity deal. Detective Morris leaned forward. There's something else. We found transfers to offshore accounts we can't trace, large ones. That's not possible. I'd tracked every penny. I would have seen, these are sophisticated, professional. She slid a paper across the desk. Someone's been helping him hide money for years. Someone who knows what they're doing. The implications hit me like a physical blow. I thought of Ethan, Michael's supposedly loyal business partner, who'd seemed so shocked by the SEC investigation. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from an unknown number. You don't know the whole story. Meet me at Riverside Park, now. E. Mrs. Anderson, Detective Morris was watching me carefully. Is there something you're not telling me? I stood, gathering my coat. I need some air. We're not finished. I'll be back. There's just something I need to check. The park was deserted this late, wind whipping off the river. Ethan stood by the railing, looking older than his 40 years. You helped him. I didn't bother with pleasantries. All this time you knew. It's not that simple. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Michael has something on me, on all of us. What do you mean, all of us? The company's been dirty for years, Robert included. He laughed bitterly. Why do you think Michael got away with so much? His father taught him everything he knows. My world tilted sideways. Robert, the stern patriarch who'd seemed so shocked by his son's crimes. You're lying. Check the offshore account, ending in 4891. That's where the real money is. Robert's retirement fund, built on decades of fraud. My phone buzzed again. Sophie. Michael knows you're talking to the police. He's going to pin everything on you. Claims you were the mastermind. Has documents to prove it. Why are you telling me this? I asked Ethan. Because tomorrow, the SEC isn't just coming for Michael. They're coming for all of us. He handed me a USB drive. This has everything. Every transaction. Every player. Including proof that you had nothing to do with it. Why help me now? Because you're the only one who tried to stop it. He turned to leave, then paused. Elena, be careful. Michael's not the only one with something to lose. I drove home in a daze. The USB drive, burning a hole in my pocket. My phone kept buzzing. Daniel, Sophie, unknown numbers. I ignored them all. At home, I poured a glass of wine with trembling hands and plugged in the drive. Document after document filled my screen, each one worse than the last. Robert's signature, Margaret's silent complicity, Ethan's careful bookkeeping, a family business built on lies, with Michael as just the latest in a long line of corrupt inheritors. A knock at my door made me jump. Through the peephole, I saw Margaret, her face streaked with tears. Elena, please, we need to talk. I rested my forehead against the door, thinking of all the times she'd defended Michael, all the years she'd known exactly what was happening. Elena, her voice cracked. They're arresting Robert tomorrow. Michael's threatening to tell them everything, about all of us, about you. I thought of Detective Morris, waiting for my return, of the evidence I'd so carefully gathered, never realizing I was only seeing the surface of a much darker truth. My phone buzzed one final time. Michael, last chance to make a deal, darling. Meet me at midnight, or everyone goes down, including you. I looked at the USB drive, then at my phone. In trying to expose one man's lies, I'd stumbled into a conspiracy that could destroy everyone involved, myself included. The question was, how far was I willing to go to see justice done? The hotel bar was nearly empty when Sophie slid into the seat beside me. Her designer perfume couldn't mask the fear rolling off her in waves. They're watching all of us, she whispered, fingers trembling around her martini glass. Michael's not just angry anymore, he's desperate. I studied her perfectly manicured nails, remembering the credit card statements for the salon visits I'd paid for. Why should I care? Because Hannah's dead. The words hung between us like smoke. My glass stopped halfway to my lips. Car accident, Sophie continued, her voice barely audible. Last night. Very convenient timing, don't you think? My phone buzzed. Daniel, where are you? Michael's looking for you. He's not alone. What did Hannah know? I asked Sophie, ignoring the message. Everything. She glanced over her shoulder. The offshore accounts, the gambling debts, The real reason Robert's been moving money through shell companies. She was going to talk to the SEC. The bartender drifted closer. Sophie fell silent until he passed. Michael called me this morning, she said. Offered to clear my debts if I signed an affidavit saying you were behind everything, that you manipulated company records, forced him to make those transfers. My laugh sounded hollow. And you're telling me this out of the goodness of your heart? I'm telling you, because Hannah was my friend. Her mascara smeared as she wiped her eyes. And because they're coming for you next. My phone buzzed again. Margaret. Robert's gone. Emptied the accounts. Left a note saying he's sorry. The room seemed to tilt. When did Hannah tell you about the accounts? She didn't. Sophie's smile was sharp as broken glass. But you just confirmed they exist. I stood so quickly my chair scraped across the floor. Sophie grabbed my wrist, her nails digging in. Sit down, she hissed. Look at the man by the door, the one pretending to read. I saw him now. Dark suit, earpiece poorly hidden. Another one at the bar, watching us in the mirror. Michael's not working alone anymore, Sophie said. The people he owes money to, they want their investment protected. Hannah threatened that protection. My phone, unknown number. Your friend Daniel is very cooperative when properly motivated. Midnight, the old warehouse. Come alone. Let go of my arm, I said quietly. Sophie released me, leaving crescent marks in my skin. You started this war, Elena. Did you really think there wouldn't be casualties? I walked out, forcing myself not to run. The man by the door spoke into his sleeve as I passed. In the parking lot, a black SUV idled 2 spaces from my car. My phone rang. Michael. Hello, darling. His voice was silk over steel. Having drinks with friends? What did you do to Daniel? Nothing permanent, yet. A pause. You know, it's funny. All this time trying to expose my secrets, and you never wondered about your precious friend's connection to everything. What are you talking about? Ask him about the offshore account transfers. Ask him who really helped set them up. Michael's laugh was soft. Oh, wait, you can't. He's a bit tied up at the moment. The SUV's engine revved. Midnight, Elena, bring the USB drive and every copy of the evidence you've collected, or Daniel won't be the only one paying for your curiosity. The line went dead. I sat in my car, hands gripping the wheel, mind racing. Daniel, my oldest friend, my confidant through all of this, had he been playing both sides? Another text from Sophie. Whatever you're thinking of doing, don't. Hannah thought she could outsmart them too. I started the engine, watching the SUV pull out behind me in the rearview mirror. 6 hours until midnight. 6 hours to decide who to trust, who to sacrifice, who to save. My phone buzzed one last time. Ethan. SEC moved up the timeline. They're raiding the offices tomorrow morning. Whatever you're going to do it now. I thought of Hannah, of Daniel, of all the pieces I'd thought I understood. The revenge I'd wanted had seemed so simple at first. Now it was a hydra, growing 2 new heads for everyone I cut off. The SUV stayed 3 cars behind as I drove, its headlights watching like patient eyes. I had until midnight to make a choice. Save myself, save Daniel, or burn the whole thing down and hope I survived the flames. The warehouse waited in the distance, a dark promise against the setting sun. The warehouse air reeked of rust and betrayal. Daniel sat tied to a chair in the center, his face a mess of bruises. 2 men in dark suits flanked him, while Michael leaned against a stack of crates, examining his phone with casual indifference. Right on time, he said, not looking up. Did you bring it? I held up the USB drive. Let him go first. That's not how this works anymore. Michael finally met my gaze, and I saw something new there, something unhinged. Show me what's on it. One of the suits produced a laptop. I plugged in the drive, watching Michael's face as he scrolled through the files. His expression darkened. Where are the offshore accounts, the transfer records? Gone. I forced myself to smile, just like Robert. Michael's hand shot out, grabbing my throat. Don't play games with me, not now. Michael, Daniel's voice was hoarse. She doesn't know everything. I never told her. Shut up. Michael's grip tightened. You had one job. Keep her distracted, keep her close, feed me information. And you couldn't even do that right. The truth hit me like a physical blow. Daniel's constant support, his convenient presence throughout my investigation. I'd been so blind. Elena. Daniel's eyes were pleading. I had to. They threatened my family. But I tried to protect you. By helping them track me, my laugh came out as a wheeze against Michael's grip. By reporting every move I made, enough. Michael released me, turning to the suits. Search her car. She must have backup copies somewhere. As they left, Michael's phone buzzed. His face went pale as he read the message. The SEC. He threw the phone against the wall. They're moving in tonight. Someone tipped them off. His eyes narrowed. What did you do? Nothing. I rubbed my throat. But Sophie's been busy. Sophie. For the first time, real fear crossed his face. What are you talking about? Check your precious offshore account, the one ending in 4891. I watched comprehension dawn. She transferred everything an hour ago to Hannah's sister. Hannah's dead, he snapped. Yes, and her sister's a federal prosecutor. I felt a cold satisfaction seeing him unravel. Sophie made a deal, full immunity in exchange for everything she knows, which is apparently a lot more than you thought. Michael lunged for me, but Daniel somehow broke free, tackling him. They crashed into the crates as the suits rushed back in, weapons drawn. Nobody move, one shouted. But Michael was beyond reason. He grabbed something from the fallen crates, a metal pipe, and swung it at Daniel's head. The crack echoed through the warehouse. Daniel crumpled. No, I screamed, running to him. Blood pooled beneath his head. It's your fault, Michael was saying, his voice distant and strange. All of this. You couldn't just stay quiet, play your part. Now look what you made me do. Sirens wailed in the distance. The suits exchanged glances and fled, leaving Michael standing over us, pipe still in hand. They're coming for you, I said, cradling Daniel's motionless form. All of them. SEC, FBI, Hannah's sister. It's over. Nothing's over. He raised the pipe again. I can still fix this. One more accident. One more loose end. The warehouse doors burst open. Margaret stood there, holding a gun with shaking hands. Michael, she said, her voice breaking. Put it down. Mother? He laughed, high and unnatural. Come to save your precious daughter-in-law? I came to stop you from becoming your father. She stepped closer. Robert killed himself an hour ago, in a hotel room in Singapore. I won't watch you follow him. Michael's face contorted. You're lying. The notes in my car, along with copies of everything. Every crime. Every cover-up. Going back 30 years. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Drop it, Michael, please. The pipe clattered to the floor. As police lights flooded the warehouse, I held Daniel's cooling body and watched my husband collapse into himself, becoming something small and broken under the weight of his own destruction. The revenge I'd wanted had cost me everything. Daniel, my safety, my belief in justice. And as the officers swarmed in, I realized the true price of vengeance wasn't paid by its target, but by everyone caught in its wake. The night wasn't over, but I was. The courthouse corridor felt like a funeral home. I sat on the hard bench, watching Michael pace in his expensive suit, all his swagger reduced to nervous energy. The SEC investigation had frozen his accounts, but Lily's diamond bracelet still glinted on her wrist as she whispered in his ear. Sophie appeared at the far end of the hall, flanked by federal agents. Her designer heels clicked like a countdown. Last chance, Elena. Michael's voice was low, desperate. Tell them you orchestrated everything. I'll make sure you're taken care of. Like you took care of Hannah. His face twitched. Lily stepped back, suddenly uncertain. Michael, she asked. What's she talking about? Nothing, darling. Elena's just bitter. Show her the phone, Lily. I stood, feeling strangely calm. The one he bought you last week. Check the GPS history for the night Hannah died. Lily's perfectly manicured hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. Michael lunged for it, but one of the agents stepped between them. "That's enough, Mr. Anderson." Margaret's voice cut through the tension. She approached from the courtroom, holding a manila envelope. "The judge is ready for us." "Mother, please." Michael's mask cracked completely. "You can't do this to your own son. You did this yourself." She handed the envelope to the federal prosecutor. "Everything's here. 30 years of fraud, including Robert's suicide note. And this," she pulled out a single photograph, "is from the traffic camera near Hannah's accident." The image showed Michael's car, the timestamp matching the night of Hannah's death. "You said you were with me that night," Lily whispered, backing away. "You said—" "He says a lot of things." Sophie had reached us, her testimony folder clutched like a shield. "Ask him about the offshore account he set up in your name. The one he's using to frame you for tax evasion." The color drained from Lily's face. "What?" "It's what he does," I said quietly. "Uses people until they're no longer useful, then discards them. Hannah threatened to expose him, so she had an accident. Daniel got too close to the truth, so—" "Shut up." Michael's composure shattered. He grabbed Lily's arm. Tell them I was with you that night." But Lily was already pulling away, tears streaking her makeup. "You killed her? And tried to set me up to take the fall?" "The judge is waiting." The prosecutor stepped forward. "Miss Chen's testimony about the offshore accounts matches our evidence exactly. Combined with Mrs. Anderson's documentation and the new evidence from Mrs. Margaret Anderson." Michael's laugh was hollow. "Evidence from my own mother. She's grief-stricken, delusional." "I'm quite lucid," Margaret interrupted. "Lucid enough to wear a wire during our last 3 conversations, including your confession about Hannah." The hallway went silent. Michael looked around wildly, like a trapped animal. His eyes landed on me. "You." He moved faster than the agents could react, his hands finding my throat. "You turned them all against me." Then Lily's phone clattered to the floor, video playing. Michael's own voice confessing to Hannah's murder, GPS data confirming his location. He'd accidentally recorded everything on the phone he'd given her, thinking he was covering his tracks. The agents pulled him off me as he screamed accusations, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. Lily fled down the hallway, Sophie smirked, and Margaret just looked tired. "The thing about lies, Michael," I rasped, rubbing my throat, "is that they multiply, like a cancer, until they destroy everything they touch." "Mrs. Anderson?" The prosecutor gestured toward the courtroom. "We're ready for your testimony." I gathered my evidence folder, thinner now, most of its contents already submitted to the SEC and FBI. The case against Michael was airtight: fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, and now murder. His own arrogance had built the trap. I'd just helped him walk into it. "Elena." His voice was different now, small, almost childlike. "Please, don't do this." I thought of Daniel in his hospital bed, still unconscious, of Hannah's sister waiting inside to see justice done, of all the lives Michael had casually destroyed in his pursuit of power and control. "I'm not doing anything, Michael. This is just karma catching up." The courtroom doors opened, and I walked through without looking back. Behind me, I heard him break down completely, his sobs echoing through the corridor like the ghost of everything he'd lost. Sometimes revenge isn't about what you do. It's about stepping back and letting someone's own actions destroy them. The prison visiting room smelled of disinfectant and defeat. Michael sat across from me in his orange jumpsuit, the confident mask finally stripped away. Through the window behind him, snow fell on the exercise yard, covering everything in clean white silence. 20 years, he said, his voice hollow, plus restitution. I placed the divorce papers on the metal table between us. "Sign them." His hand trembled as he reached for the pen. Was it worth it? Destroying everything we built. We didn't build anything, Michael. You constructed a fantasy, and I lived in it until I couldn't anymore. The pen scratched across paper, Each signature felt like a key turning in a lock. Daniel's awake, I said, watching his reaction. He remembers everything. Michael's pen paused. I never meant to get caught, to kill Hannah, to ruin your father. I collected the signed papers. That's the problem. You never meant for any of it to happen, but you kept making choices that led here. Elena, he reached across the table, but I pulled back. What happened to us? You happened to us. And now you're happening to yourself. Outside, Margaret waited in her car, engine running against the cold. She'd aged years in months, but her eyes were clearer now. It's done? She asked as I slid into the passenger seat. I nodded, watching the prison shrink in the side mirror. He signed everything, the restitution agreement, too. Hannah's sister gets control of the recovered assets. Good. She pulled onto the highway. The company board voted this morning. They're restructuring, keeping the legitimate parts. Ethan's cooperating with the investigation. My phone buzzed. A message from Sophie. Lily's gone to the DA, says she has more recordings. I deleted it without responding. Sophie had played her part, but I was done with all of them. The house sold, Margaret said quietly. Above asking price. The house where Michael had built his web of lies, where I'd lived in beautiful ignorance until the cracks appeared. Someone else would sleep there now, unaware of the ghosts in every room. What will you do now? Margaret asked. I touched the envelope in my bag. Not the divorce papers, but the other one. The one containing proof of my own secret. Documentation of every dollar I'd managed to recover. Traced through shell companies and offshore accounts. Money that even Michael didn't know existed, hidden by Robert before his death. Start over, I said. Somewhere new, she nodded, understanding more than I'd said. You know, revenge is supposed to feel empty. That's what they say, that it doesn't bring peace. This isn't about peace. I watched the snow erase the world outside. It's about truth. Everything hidden eventually comes to light. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. Coffee tomorrow. Doctor says I can have visitors now. I hesitated, then typed back. Rain check. Taking care of something first. Because Daniel had betrayed me too, even if he'd had his reasons. Even if he'd tried to protect me in the end. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes. Margaret pulled up to the airport departures terminal. You don't have to disappear, she said. Not everyone in your life was false. No, I gathered my single bag. But everyone was changed by it. She touched my arm before I could leave. The board transferred the recovered funds to your account this morning. Robert's hidden assets, legitimately claimed. You could rebuild here. I thought of Michael in his prison cell, of Sophie playing all sides, of Lily's desperate grab for immunity, of Daniel in his hospital bed, trying to make amends for choices that couldn't be undone. Sometimes, I said, rebuilding means walking away. The terminal was quiet, holiday travelers long gone. At the counter, my new passport waited, the final piece of preparation I'd made, while everyone else was focused on Michael's downfall. Because revenge wasn't just about destroying someone else's lies. It was about reclaiming your own truth. I checked in for a flight to a city I'd never seen, under a name that had never been touched by Michael's deceit. Behind me, Margaret's car disappeared into the snow, carrying the last witness to who I used to be. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't what you take from others, but what you keep for yourself. The power to write your own ending.